Versus his opponent, something of an enigma. He can take games off pretty much anyone. He has a interesting Zerg style, to say the least, and he's still sort of climbing that ladder, or perhaps even that mountain, back from injury, getting back into form, unfortunately struggling in this group and fighting for his tournament life. There's no question that he must win this and do so decisively. In the red trunks, playing Zerg to the north of the Antigua shipyard, Liquid TLO.
And I'm not sure exactly the format, if it's map score head-to-head, but if you say it's head-to-head
priority,
then TLO can't advance through no matter what happens in this game, but he can slow Polt down, as TLO has already lost versus Bling, he's already lost versus Phoenix, so he'll be in contesting for second place with those two players, so we'll see. And Polt, on the other hand, the thing is that we'll see is that TLO can slow the progress down of Polt, and Polt isn't even necessarily going to go through. He did win his first game against Phoenix, but if he loses to TLO and then loses again versus Bling, then he could easily go out.
Here's the thing, I mean, I'm trying to figure this out. If I figure this out in my head, if TLO wins this against Polt, and Polt then loses against Bling, and it goes down to head-to-head score for a tiebreaker, then actually TLO goes through in that scenario. I think that's the only scenario where that could possibly happen.
I'll let the nerds on Reddit and Team Liquid work.
They're figuring it out right now. It's always difficult to do that. Sadly, we don't have any kind of sort of admin telling us whether or not that's the case at the moment. So it's kind of guesswork. But based on my understanding of the rules, that would work. But we'll see. It's got one way or the other. It's tough. TLO wants to win it, and the circumstances of him going through would certainly be suspect, I've got to say. But I guess we'll find out shortly. TLO with the hatchery down and the spawning pool just to follow that up. Polt's just going to straight wall off, nothing fancy, and get himself the refinery.
And the thing is, TLO, his recent style in this matchup has been revolving a lot more around Lings, and then the smooth transition to Infestors into Ultras are very nice, and it is really good because it's the way the upgrades flow. If you upgrade your melee, you can go directly into Ultralists or Broodlords, and more recently the Ultralists coming into more play due to the Ghost change. But once again, we'll see how is Polt gonna play against TLO in the late stages if that manages to go that far on. You know, does he still try the Ghost? Does he try Vikings, spread out Ravens, and so on against a very epic combination of units by TLO? But that's if the game gets that far. And we'll see how this is going to play out. We do have 2 Marines by Polt scouting around looking for an Overlord, but unfortunately not going to find one.
No, there's not one anywhere near that, unfortunately. There's one over here, which is very, very safe indeed, and the chances of that getting picked off are particularly slim. You should be able to get some information from that. And going into that idea, I would say that Polt does not want this to go to the late game. With the Ghost change, I don't think so. The Ghost change is so massive in this matchup that it's going to take a while, I feel, for Terran to really get to grips with Tier 3 once again, the Hive tech. So I think Polt tries to kill him on or before layer tech. We'll see what he can do. He's going to go for a reactor, Hellion expand, nothing unusual about that at all, and try to stop some creep spread here. TLO's actually aggressively spreading creep. He's already got a 3rd queen, and he's actually going for straight up for a 4th.
Yeah, man, he loves his creep spread for sure, and he isn't mining any gas at all. He does manage to sneak in an Overlord all the way around that right-hand side, which could have been picked off if Polt knew it was there, but he didn't. Therefore, TLO gets the scout of the expansion, now understands the timing and can put everything together. But now the Hellions are pushing through. There's no Spine Crawler ready. There's only 2 Lings, that's it. But he does have these Queens to start to push him back. But once there's 4, he can actually look to run by the Queens and behind the mineral line and get a good position here.
Yeah, it can be very, very risky. 4 Queens coming in, and eventually Hellions will kill Queens. It does take a while. The problem is Queens on the ground are just so incredibly awful that killing off Hellions with them is a little tricky. And you can see that TLO really does want to stretch it out as much as he can. He refuses to build nothing but Ling. He's still building drones, taking a risk in that respect. And interestingly enough, one of the creep tumors got killed by splash damage, and that one's very close to dying as well. That could cause him a few issues there with his creep spread, but looks like we've got it coming in from the top as well, being very active with that. And Polt is actually, I think, just going to have to straight up give up on that idea, but a quick cancellation of that. No more Hellions coming in. 6 is the chosen number. Is it able to do anything? So far, not a huge amount.
Yeah, and it's not going to, especially not with these Queens, blocking certain areas, Lings to help back up too. And Polt playing a pretty standard style 3 barracks into directly the starport ready for medivacs. And then we'll want to pressure pretty much straight away. He can then try to expand behind this. You usually see the command center come down to really push his economy to the next level and capitalize on the fact that TLO is just on 2 base, but TLO is going to try and surround here.
Oh, he doesn't lose his queen as well. He goes for the dash, but he can't quite get it, and the creep spread is just not quite where it needs to be. And TLO quickly darts back and loses a creep tumor in the process. Ill-advised to place it there, but TLO keeps it away from the mineral line and has a fairly significant worker lead on, so he's on 41 already.
And Lings do try the run by and will be able to surge towards the natural. There's not much there, and Hellions are in hot pursuit here. TLO cuts off a few of them to slow the Hellions down, and once again is spreading his Lings around, but he can't really do too much, because if he does go to the natural to try and get in there, he will lose everything, and then we'll lose map control. Hellions can push back the creep tumors once again, but there is that double evolution chamber, that focus on the upgrades. He also sneaks in a drone to build that 3rd base, and Polt so far not opting to build a command center yet. He's been floating over 400 minerals for the majority of the last 2 minutes, and now finally does throw it down. Just a little bit slow on that, but nevertheless 2 medivacs are out now, and this is where things start to get a little bit interesting.
Well, the nice thing about playing a really heavy Ling, especially with upgrades, is the response time. When it comes to defending drops, as soon as you see it, you can have Lings underneath it. And if it's nothing but Marines, there's really not a lot you can do with it. You either drop and just die and hope to do a little bit of damage to the mineral line, or you have to stop dropping at all into the base and have to drop outside and go for a more straight-up push. With creep spread of this caliber, that means that push is going to start really far out, so loads of response time for TLO. He's actually taken a 4th base, which is an interesting thing to do at this stage.
Well, he's got map control, he's got so many units on the ground, there's nothing to prevent that base from going up, and it's it's like adding on to his production capabilities, not only his economy, but we do have a lot of units out here. TLO is going to try and get a good flank.
Well, he goes for it. He's driving his opponent away from the table, but that's nicely repositioned there by Polt. But the Hellions are most likely going to take a significant amount of damage. With more Lings on the way. And it is just Lings lost there, but it was also just Hellions and a few Marines lost for Polt. He's trying to clean this creep spread, and he's managing to do it quite well. The receding has begun, and it also takes out another queen. That's a good position. Really nice there by Polt. Lings can't do anything against that. And a little bit of damage here and there. And this came in at the most awkward time as well. Oh no, the drone's coming in as well. Thankfully, there's not a lot of Hellions left, and still those Lings just getting decimated. Eventually, they managed to kill most of that army, but there's still something left to go into that mineral line. Not what he wanted. Resources lost by TLO is significant at this pace. Oh, even a pickup by Polt. Very nice indeed.
Ooh, TLO is bleeding at the moment. He's lost a lot of resources. That was such an efficient trade there by Polt, and he also can drop and heal once again and do it again while sustaining the 3rd command center. He has more reinforcements coming. Understanding that TLO's playing very Ling heavy, Pure Marines is actually fine against this. He's working on upgrades as well and taking a lot of Ling damage once again on the side here. Oh, that's so nasty for TLO, losing even more. Trying to set up a counterattack, but no is the answer.
Well, the problem with playing Ling heavy as well is that like a force like that could have been very easily crushed by Banelings without question, and unfortunately, no Banelings. And Polt's just going to take full advantage of that. And if he gets good position, Lings don't get a good surface area, and with Medivac support, the trade is so efficient. And that hatchery is going down. Polt has got this game by its throat, and he is squeezing for all it's worth. Another queen is slaughtered. Polt just refusing to move into a position where he can be surrounded.
Yeah, and this is the difficulty with playing this Ling-only style, is that unless you get a good surround like this, which can easily get picked up and just evacuated, and like that's so easily done, it's very cost efficient from TLO to take fights like this continuously. But he does have that new base up at the top right here. But Polt has established a 3rd base. He can easily sit and bunker himself on 3 bases. So no matter how aggressive TLO tries to become, Polt can defend it.
I really want to see Banelings from TLO, honestly. I really do. I mean, look at that. Polt is always moving into the position where he can get the most efficient trades. And if he knows he can't win, he picks up. And there's nothing that can be done. The only way to really answer that, Infesta, which is going on, would be another way to do it. But you know, Baneling could have done a lot more damage early on.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with Banelings is that you have to build the Banelings and the Baneling speed upgrade. The investors would be a lot better choice, because that's where he wants to go down. Going down the Baneling route throws him down another tech path, which you don't necessarily need to do. But very smartly from Polt is he hasn't moved across the halfway line or not even past the natural area with a tank. which is the key thing here, is that the Lings are so good against Marine tank, but pure Marine, just as you can see, is so efficient. You can pick up more Marines, you don't have to worry about picking up tanks, taking up the supply count within that medevac, and once again, Polt dropping down here, and is going to be able to pick off this hatchery if TLO doesn't cancel it.
Yeah, I imagine TLO should be able to cancel that fairly quickly, especially since the fire was going on, and actually fails to cancel it. Never mind, that was unfortunate, and not a loss that he can really take. The trade at the moment is crazy. If you look at the resource loss, it's actually 10-1 in terms of units lost here. TLO has thrown away a lot of Lings to no real effect, and Polt, as a result, has this big, scary army. 110 supply to 74 in that respect. It's going, wow, TLO's going straight for Hive Tech, which is kind of gutsy. You know, he knows that there is a problem, of course, with dealing with Broodlords at the moment, but oh, he runs right into that. Does he get us around? He brings in a few from the side. It's a good flank, actually, but will he be able to clean it up with that many Marines? I don't think so, and TLO is thrown back again by TSL Polt.
Yeah, with that many medivacs as well, the Marines really don't die easily, and TLO taking a humongous gamble trying to go straight for Hive. There's no infestors at all. He's got pure Lings, and Polt's just going to come cruising through in what seems an incredibly easy game from the South Korean.
It really does. That was very, very well played and incredibly well executed. Polt just won't take a fight anywhere that he doesn't absolutely think he has to, and that's the brilliant thing about it. Eventually, this Marine count will be worn down, but the whole cliche, to what cost? That is the cost. Look at it, 372 units killed and 10k resources thrown away. Polt is playing unbelievably efficiently.
And here comes a wave just equally as big, if not bigger, from Polt. And that is going to be the sealing deal here. Despite TLO trying to get 28 Lings out, there's more than 28 Marines there. So 1-to-1, and it doesn't matter about the upgrade advantage when there's that many medivacs and the healing capability of them. And TLO, his new expansion in the top right, is going to be in danger, but even a lift up and drop in the main could close everything. TLO trying to go for 3-3, but Polt will not allow that. 89 supply for Mr. Dario Wunsch, 191.
Polt is absolutely decimating TLO at this point. It's sad to see, but there's just no way. GG, ladies and gentlemen.